Hey class, thank you for today. It was really great seeing so many of you getting started on JavaScript. Okay, I will basically in this video go through two things. The first thing is the template that we made in class. I will just show you again how to do that so you can see it done again. And the second part is doing the JavaScript that we did in class, the small example of how to do the jQuery. So, okay, the first thing I will do is that let's just put it down here. The first thing we'll do is that you can see here, we are in the terminal, and I am in my my folder. You can see the current folder you're in if you're typing pwd, and you can see I'm in my projects HackYourFuture folder. So what we did today was that we created a new folder called JavaScript jQuery. You can call the folder whatever you want, but you can basically make a folder also in Windows if you open up the terminal by writing mkdir and then what you want to call the folder, and basically then you can cd change directory into that folder. Now in the folder, and what we did today was that we opened up our code editor like here, and you can basically, if you have code installed, you can type code dot and then you will see it installed. Then it basically opens up the folder, and what we needed two different files, an index.html file and a JavaScript file. So the first index.html we created here, and basically we create a body tag, so we need that, and then save that. Then we needed a second file, and that was the main.js, and the main.js is our JavaScript file. So in here we wrote console.log. It works just to see that it actually was working if we import it correctly. In here we import the script, and you do that by importing the script by writing a script tag and then writing source and two quotes and then / and then main. And the reason why we're saying / is we're telling the computer and the browser is like it's supposed to be relative from where this index.html is. So we can save this, and then in here we can say open, and we can do index.html, and this is just a quick way for you to open the index file in your primary browser. So you can see here now I have to open it up here, and I can open up the console, and I can see it says it works. So that's good. We imported the JavaScript file into the HTML file and then loaded it in the browser. And you can also open up the console by right clicking and saying inspect, and then switching to the console command. So the next thing we did was we included jQuery. So I first in the class went to the jQuery website, and this is the official website. This is really good. You can press here, and there's two options. Either we can download the jQuery source code and put it into our own folder, or we can find it from somewhere else on the website and just include a script tag. I prefer the script tag because then I don't need to include it or download it, have it multiple times on my computer. And I really like this website called JS Deliver, where you can basically find every package from something called npm, and you can see it's all, they even have an example for jQuery right here in the browser. So we can just click here, and then we can see that it's opening up and finding the correct jQuery file. So we can copy this URL, and then we can go into our script, and then we can say source, and then we basically put that in here, and this should load it. So we can go here and refresh. And the way we can actually see that this has been loaded is that we can go into here into the network tab, zoom out a little bit, and then go into our JS. And we need to scroll a little bit down, but you can basically see that jQuery.min.js was loaded and it got a 200. So that's perfect. Yay! Then you can go in here and it was important that we loaded the jQuery first and then the main afterwards, because if we switch around, the jQuery wouldn't necessarily be loaded when we were doing that. And the way we could see that it's actually working, we're just writing a basic jQuery selector without doing anything. And we can save that and then reload, and we can see there's still no errors. Like a common error would be that you would load it in the wrong direction. So you, for example, have this file here. I'm just messing up a little bit my shortcuts, but you can see if I wrote it in this direction and try to load it, it would say uncalled reference error, $sign is not defined. And that basically means that jQuery haven't been defined when you're trying to load it. So back to the original order, and this works. So that's really good. It's basically you loaded the jQuery into your HTML and you're ready to work. So the second part where we were basically beginning to talk a little bit about the different variables and types of JavaScript things you could define. For example, you could define a string, you could define a boolean, an array, an object, and there's also some other things like a date, but that was some of the basic stuff you could define. So what we did was that we went into our main JS file and deleted this one. So we basically wrote var name, and I wrote my name here. And we talked a little bit about whether we should using var or let. The book that we're using right now is talking about var, and var has been working for a long time, even though it is a little bit wow, that was a little bit annoying. Let's see, I can do not disturb. So we talked a little bit about var let, and they either work the same. Let is only available in your browser, but we can write both of them. But we will stick to var to keep it the old way that always works. So the first one would be here was be a string, and that's pretty easy to see. You can write whatever you want inside a string. It also contains numbers, but it wouldn't be able to calculate with those. Then we wrote something called age, and that was something that we actually defined as a number. You can see that's type that has been made in green. Then we defined also, for example, something like living in Copenhagen, and we defined that as true, and that was the boolean we were talking about. Then we also had something called hobbies, and that's where we created an array where we were basically saying like biking and then splitting those up by a colon, like a comma, and then for example saying snowboarding. And you can see array is basically an object of the other types that we have up here. And then you're also saying defining an object, and an object could be a collection of all the things that we have up here. So we did like name and then Kevin, and we're remembering to write a comma when we have an object. An age, we can do that 25, living in Copenhagen, true, comma, hobbies, define that as an array again, biking, snowboarding. Snowboarding. So with that, basically this is the same thing. The only difference is that when we want to reference a name here, we basically have to say person.name instead of just reference it as just name, where you reference this variable. So we can delete this one, it's basically the same, but we are structuring a little bit better by doing it like var person equal and then all the properties nested under that. Then what we did was that we were inside the HTML, we were beginning to add something about a little bit of HTML so we could show the different stuff in here. So we will, for example, say name, and then we added a span, and then added a class where we were saying name, and we were using jQuery and defining a document and ready with a function inside that will get executed whenever the document is ready. And to recap why we're doing this is because a document is executing a specific event when the document is ready. And what that means is that you can actually go in here and see network, and you can see here the browser is firing off these two events, and it says DOM content loaded and load. And these are the different things that define if the document is ready. And it's also because it's in sometimes you wouldn't know if your script tag was actually loaded after the HTML that you're trying to find. So for example, if this HTML was after our source, you wouldn't be able to find this span with the name, and therefore it's a good safeguard to put it into a document ready function. So what we did was that we were then trying to reference this span, and we were using what we know from the CSS selectors. So we can basically say dot name for a CSS class, and then writing text, and then saying person dot name. And we can go in and load our browser, and we can basically see it's right Kevin there. So this was really good. That was what we did. We can also do the rest of the stuff. So basically adding some more here, like a little bit more like this. And we were saying age, living in Copenhagen, and hobbies, living, short, age. So basically now we can replace those value when jQuery we're doing that. So age, text, person dot age, dot living, we wrote it shorter, text, and here living in Copenhagen, even though it is a Boolean, jQuery would know that it should write out true. And text, hobbies, and we can say text and person dot hobbies, and it would be basically written out with a join command. A join would basically mean that would take all the strings and join them in and automatically add a comma in next to. But you can see I also made a mistake here. It's called person.living in Copenhagen. So we can refresh and we can see that all the information has been added. Yay! So the next thing we want to do, and we did in the class, was that we were adding a red box around the content. So you can see here we're basically adding now a div around here, and we can indent it properly so we can read it, and then saying class equal red box, and adding a head here with a style so we can style that, and we have our red box background red, and we can go in and see, yay, it's red. That's really good. That was what we did. Basically a simple class called red box around all the content, and add a style tag at the head. Then what we did was that we wanted to when we clicked on this box, we wanted it to disappear. We wanted it to fade out. So what we did is the first thing we need to reference it, red box. Then we want to say click, because jQuery has a lot of like these easy handlers where you can basically say .click on any handlers, and it will basically set up a click event listener. So basically we can then add a function here that we want to execute every time you click on this red box. And what we wanted to do is that we wanted to say red box dot fade out. So that means that every time we click the red box would be faded out. So let's see if that happens, and we also remember to save. Let's save it, I click on it, and it disappears. So basically, to recap what we did, we created 2 files. We imported the main.js into the index.js, index.html. We also included jQuery from JSDeliver, and we wrote some simple jQuery to see that it's actually working and how we want to structure the stuff. So that was basically it. I will love if you have more comments, I can cover them. But basically, looking forward to see you on next Sunday, and I will keep you posted. Hey, bye!